Hey guys, YouTube 100 here. Alright, and now here I am with another Rocky movie review. With a review for Rocky Balboa. So, yeah, I did question why they decided to call this film a Rocky Balboa rather than just calling it Rocky 6. I mean, I'm not sure why they decided to go with the Rocky Balboa title for this film, but it is what it is. And yeah, at the time when this film was announced, I was kind of skeptical about it because I wasn't really quite sure what they could really do with it, seeing how this film did come out in 2006, and so yeah, that's it makes it like 16 years since the release of Rocky 5. So yeah, I wasn't really too sure really what they were going to do with this, considering that this is now like 16 years since the last movie. And so yeah, I just really was just very skeptical about what they were going to do with this. And yeah, there was even like a video that was on the internet, like when this movie was announced, it was like kind of like mocking this film in a sense. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll put the video down in the description. Yeah, it's like a parody of the song "Eye of the Tiger." Yeah, they call this song "Die or Retire," and it's basically just like totally mocking this film being made. Yeah, it's like a pretty funny video. Yeah, I'll put it in the description for you to see. Yeah, yeah, people were even like just poking fun at this film even being made. So, yeah, and seeing how now Rocky or Sylvester Stallone, by this point he was definitely much older. I kind of felt that maybe this was gonna be kind of pretty embarrassing if it was gonna be a Rocky still at his much older age still in the ring boxing and stuff. Yeah, I wasn't really quite sure what to expect with this film when it was announced. So yeah, I was just very very skeptical about it. But now, when I went to see this film when it was released, I have to say this actually did turn out being a pretty good movie. I think. I mean, yeah, this really was. I mean, yeah, it definitely was Rocky, as much older in this film. But yeah, this the story that this film told. I felt that it was it was the right. Well, yeah, it was a good story to tell for Rocky at the age that he's at in this film. I mean, yeah, this film it's showing that Rocky he's of course much older now, but he's living a more quiet life now, and just really keeping more to himself now. Well, I shouldn't really say that, but yeah, he's not really living the life that he did before, when he was actually a pro boxer and had all his fame and stuff. He still does have that fame. So in this movie, people really do still know who he is. But yeah, he's his life has kind of changed now, and so yeah, and yeah, it does show in this film how Rocky is still retired from the boxing, but then after the current boxing champion in this film, he's really not being taken very seriously. Then uh his promoters then convince Rocky to just come out of retirement for a charity exhibition fight. Mm, yeah, and and then it just culminates in a boxing match, and just to show that Rocky still does have it. And so yeah, and that's really just it's really just a basic premise of this film. Yeah, and yeah, for what they did do with this, I do think that they managed to do a pretty good story out of it. Yeah. So yeah, it is a pretty good film, I think. I mean, yeah, not the greatest. Yeah, it's not the greatest in the series, but it's definitely not the worst either. I mean, it is a redeemer from Rocky 5, definitely, but yeah, it's still not as good as some other entries in the franchise. But yeah, I still think that it is probably somewhere in the line with Rocky 4, probably. Yeah, in terms of how good it is probably somewhere in the Rocky 4 range. But yeah, in this film, you do still have a Sylvester Stallone back as Rocky, And you also have Burt Young back as Paulie. Yeah, but yeah, in this film, it's shown that Adrian has been dead for like the last 4 years prior to this film when it's set, and yeah, it's like revealed in this film that Adrian died of cancer. So yeah, you don't actually have Adrian being in this movie. Yeah, I'm not sure like if like Talia Shire did not was like just did not have any interest in this in reprising the role of Adrian, so that's why they ended up like having Adrian be dead in this film. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I haven't actually like heard anything about like if Talia Shire just wasn't interested in coming back or anything. But yeah, for whatever the reason was, yeah, that Adrian just is dead in this film. And yeah, and it's shown in this film how Rocky is really like still grieving over Adrian being dead, and yeah, it really is just like yeah, Rocky still is coping with like a bunch of pain and stuff, and even Paulie is like going through a lot of pain as well and stuff. And so yeah, and I really do think that they did a pretty good job to like display like the pain and the grief that both Rocky and Paulie were going through in this film. Yeah, and in this film you also do have Rocky's son still in the film also, but yeah, he's like, played by a different actor in this film. Yeah, Sage Stallone did not reprise the role, and neither did any of the previous actors who played the son in the previous film. So yeah, he's played by a different actor in this film. Yeah. And Rocky's rival in this film is Mason Dixon, and he's played by Antonio Tarver, who's also like a real life boxer, just like how Tommy Morrison, who played Tommy Gunn in Rocky Five, was a real life boxer as well. So it's interesting that they ended up getting like some real life boxers to play a couple of Rocky's nemesis in these movies. So yeah, I do think that's interesting. Yeah. And yeah, it just seems that like throughout this film, it's just like filled with like just a bunch of like Easter eggs, like in homage of the previous Rocky films. Like in this one, you do have a Spider Rico in it, who of course was like Rocky's very first opponent at the start of the original movie, and he's still played by the same actor. So yeah, they got a Spider Rico in this film, and and yeah, and also like at one like in this film, Rocky ends up like running a restaurant that he named after Adrian, and in the restaurant you can actually it actually has like that blended painted portrait of like Rocky and Apollo like throwing their fists at each other in that private third fight that was like shown during the credits of Rocky 3. So yeah, and yeah, so I thought it was interesting that they actually had that painting actually be in the restaurant in this film, and yeah, it also does have some callback to like some of the music from the previous movies. Yeah, and you also do have a Bill Conti still like composing the music in this film, and this film was once again under the direction as well as written. Sorry, by Sylvester Stallone. Yeah, and also like yeah, I'm sorry about this cough. And this film also does like reintroduce that Marie girl that Rocky ended up walking home in the original movie, and yeah, she's now a full-grown woman. And yeah, in this film, like Rocky and uh, Marie like form a friendship with each other. So yeah, I thought it was interesting that they ended up bringing Marie back. Yeah, I told you back when I did review the original movie that this would like come into play like in a future film, which is this film. So yeah, I thought it was interesting that they ended up bringing her back in this film. And, like giving her like a friendship with Rocky and stuff. So yeah, it does have like some good callbacks to the prior films with all the Easter eggs that they've got in this and stuff. So yeah, and yeah, in this film, Mason Dixon, he's not really like a villain in this film. Like he really doesn't like show any like animosity or disrespect towards Rocky in this film at all. Like it's just like Mason in this film. He just like is just. It's basically like he's in kind of in the same position that Tommy Gunn was in the previous film after he won the title. He still just wasn't being taken seriously, and Yeah, this film just Mason Dixon. He's really just not a very popular uh, champion, and he's just like being ridiculed for not really ever finding a true contender, similar to how like Tommy Gunn was being ridiculed after he won the title. And so yeah, but yeah, in this film, Mason Dixon, he's really not like he's not really like obsessed with getting any respect or anything. He just really wants to be taken seriously, but he's not like going crazy over it like Tommy Gunn was in the in Rocky Five. And then yeah, like I said that earlier, like and then eventually like Mason's promoters then like pitched the idea of an exhibition fight to Rocky, and Rocky eventually does agree to it. Yeah, and even like when Tommy Gunn and Tommy Gunn, why did I say that? When a Rocky and a Mason do actually come face to face with each other, really like there's no like any sign of disrespect towards either one of them. Like they both are like virtually like have a virtual amount of respect for each other, and neither one really does disrespect the other. And even like when it gets to the end of the fight in this film, like it's not something like where one of them is showboating or anything. They actually do pay respect to each other and stuff. So yeah, it's so I like how they really don't like make Mason Dixon like a real like a villain in this film, or even like just really full of himself like Apollo was in the first two films. Yeah, they just kind of just make Mason Dixon look out to be like just somebody who's not appreciated, but not really like a true egotistical or guy who's full of himself or anything like all Rocky's opponents in the other movies and stuff. So yeah, I really like how they just really make Mason Dixon just like a just seem like just a normal boxer who just is looking for some respect and appreciation. So yeah, I do like that about this film, how it's like really like more of a simple premise than the other films are. So yeah, so overall, I do think that this is a pretty good movie overall. I would give it probably 3.5 stars out of 4. So yeah, it just is overall like while it is like a very a very simple premise, I think, and it just actually does do a pretty well at doing what it can, considering like how long after the previous film this film is set and how long it was released after. So, yeah, okay. So yeah, I rambled on for like almost 13 minutes about this. So yeah, let me just talk about the film. All right. So yeah, as I said, like Rocky in this film, he's like around like in his late 50s, and yeah, he's now the widower after Adrian died 4 years prior to when this film is set. And then Rocky like regularly visits Adrian's grave. Yeah, and and it also shows that Paulie is still around as well, and uh, Paulie is still like just trying to support Rocky in any way that he can, and he really does like go with Rocky a lot to like visit Adrian. And there's like a part in the movie where Rocky's just like reminiscing of like memories with Adrian, and it's just like at one point Paulie just like ended up snapping, and he just says that he doesn't want these memories because it's just Paulie is just like really guilt ridden of like how bad that he did treat Adrian, while Rocky did treat her really good. And it shows that Rocky's son, like he's just like he's really having like a really struggling career himself. Like he's trying to have like more of a corporate career, but it's just not working out for him. And he's also like really like he's just so busy that he really doesn't have any time to like really spend time with Rocky at all. And it's just like causing their relationship to really erode. Yeah. And it even like ends up at one point when Rocky asks his son to just come to the restaurant to like celebrate. They hate like his mom. or something. Yeah, he just ends up like calling in and just telling Rocky that he can't make it and stuff. So yeah, the son is just like really, really busy and just really doesn't have any time to seem to like socialize or do anything with Rocky anymore. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, like I said, it like if Spider Rico's in this film and he like regularly does visit uh the restaurant Rocky runs called Adrian's, which of course Rocky named after his wife. Yeah, and eventually, like throughout this film, like Spider Rico just ends up like doing a bunch of like jobs in like Rocky's restaurant. Like, well, I shouldn't really say a lot, but yeah, there's a point in this film where Spider Rico just goes down and just helps wash dishes and stuff, and he just wants to just do something for Rocky and stuff. Yeah, yeah. And then eventually, as Rocky is just out late one night, and he goes like to a bar. Then he ends up like coming across Marie, who's like a bartender there, and yeah, she did like remind Rocky that he walked her home when she was a kid and stuff. And yeah, she like told Rocky that she was like a single parent of a teenage son, and her son Stevenson or Step says she calls him. It's just like uh, or out of wedlock, and he's like half Jamaican on his father's side, but yeah, the father like is just not around anymore. And then yeah, Rocky then like formed a bond with both Mary and Steps, and then like Rocky was like throughout the film he was acting as a father figure towards Steps. And this is like helping Rocky to just like help him like buffer his way through his anguish with Adrian and stuff. Yeah. And yeah, and like I said before, like it shows that Mason Dixon, he's like uh, he's the heavyweight champion at this time, and he hasn't been defeated, but yeah, he's just really not taken very seriously. And like I said earlier, he's just like being constantly ridiculed because he's never really fought a true contender. And then he just eventually Mason just ended up like visiting his old trainer, and just his trainer told him that inevitably he will earn respect through a true opponent. And then eventually, then ESPN like broadcasted a computer simulation of a net then versus now fight between Mason and Rocky in his prime, and which is like, and they like made it as sort of like a modern day super fight, right? Hence the yeah, like similar to the simulated Rocky Marciano versus Muhammad Ali fight. Yep. Yeah, and in that simulated fight, like Rocky ended up winning by a knockout. Oh yeah, and then once Rocky found out about it, then and like Rocky then decided to like take up boxing again, and then yeah, like initially the boxing commission ended up like denying Rocky's application for his license again, but then eventually and they approved it. Yeah, and then eventually, one night, Mason's promoters visited Rocky's restaurant, and then they pitched the idea of the charity exhibition fight against Mason Dixon, and at the Mandalay Bay, hey, in Las Vegas, and just so as a way to bolster Mason's popularity. And then yeah, both Rocky and Mason were kind of hesitant to it at first, but then they ended up agreeing, and then like the media was depicting it like has a has been Rocky's a has been, and they were like ridiculing Mason's credibility. And then yeah, and over time, like once the Rocky son found out about him going back into fighting, like he was trying to like discourage Rocky from going through with the fight, and he was like talking to Rocky about how he's really where he's at right now, just because of Rocky's popularity, and he's just like always being in his father's celebrity shadow, and he was just kind of like blaming that on all like his personal failings. But then like Rocky was then just talking to his son, and, and then just trying to give him some advice that to succeed in life, it ain't about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving, and that blaming others isn't gonna help him. You know? And then yeah, that then like motivated his son to really just quit his job, and then he visited Adrian's grave with Rocky the following day, and then he just wanted to be by Rocky's side. Oh, and I should also say, like at one point, like Rocky talked Marie into working at his restaurant, and she was acting as like an usher. And then there's one point where Paulie was like let go from his job, and he visited Rocky's restaurant, and Marie was talking to Paulie, asking if he had a reservation, and Paulie just responded with, "Do I look like a freaking Indian?" I just found that so hilarious. Like when I saw this movie in the theaters, like that part just had me laughing so hard. Like that was just hilarious. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, yeah. And then Rocky then met back up with Duke, and yeah, Duke like was just like telling Rocky like he can't really like train everything because Rocky had like arthritis in his neck as well as calcium deposits in all of his joints. So all Rocky could really train with is building up strength and punching power as much as he could. And then yeah, there was then like a training montage with the "Gonna Fly Now" song playing, and then just ended with Rocky like running back up the stairs of the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Yeah. Then we eventually arrived on the fight night, and then yeah, we had like a Duke, Paulie, Rocky's son, and Steps all as a Rocky's training team. Yeah. And as Mason Dixon walked out, like he had a confrontation with Mike Tyson, who was at the fight, right, like in the front row, just telling Mason that he's not a true champion. Yeah, and he had Michael Buffer making the introductions for the fight. So yeah, this is like a more or of course like more modern. So yeah, we have like a lot more of like the big names that we know today. And yeah, this actually did like feel like we were watching an actual boxing pay per view or an actual boxing event. This felt like a little bit more realistic in terms of actual boxing in pay per views and events and stuff. So yeah, and the fight like went back and forth early on. Like Mason like dominated the first round, but in the second round, then he ended up injuring his hand at one point, and then yeah, that gave Rocky the advantage, and Rocky seized the opportunity to start beating Mason down. And then and yeah, it just showed like this was a 10 round fight, and so yeah, then yeah, it just showed highlights through the fight of like each guy getting the upper hand. Like it was kept going back and forth. North, yeah. And then, yeah, throughout the fight, like Paulie and Rocky's son were giving him some advice. Yeah, and then finally get to the 10th round, and yeah, it continued to go back and forth. And then then like Rocky then like at one point as Mason was getting the upper hand on Rocky, Rocky then started to battle back, and then yeah, it just showed how like both Rocky and Mason were just getting severely beaten down. But then, yeah, the fight then like ended after the final round expired. But Rocky ended up like getting the last punch in the fight, and then afterwards, Rocky and Mason embraced each other, and Rocky just told Mason that he's a great champion. And then, yeah, the audience then just applauded both fighters. And then, as Rocky was starting to leave, then the decision was announced, and yeah, Mason won the fight by a very close split decision. But yeah, Rocky still was not like bothered by the decision at all, and yeah, he was just like happy to put on like one last fight, and yeah, the crowd like was of course like just cheering Rocky, and then then just the movie then just ended with Rocky visiting Adrian's grave once again, and he was just like thanking Adrian because he couldn't have done it without her, and Rocky just said, "Yo, Adrian, we did it," and then it just showed then Rocky walking away with the flowers on Adrian's grave, and then yeah, and then that's how it ended. So yeah, so yeah, overall, the premise for this film, it is like a pretty basic story, but for what it did tell, I actually do think that it was actually done pretty well overall, and I really do think that they like did as best as they could with like the premise of this film overall. With like just Rocky is much older, they were just trying to do like something and to just make it show that like a Rocky still has the ability, his boxing ability and stuff, and not really a has been, and just showed like what Rocky really could do with like considering his age and condition and stuff. So yeah, I did think that they like did as best as they could with this film. So yeah, so I do think that this film overall turned out being a pretty good success. So yeah, like I said, 3.5 stars out of 4. All right, so I guess that's all I can really say about it. So yeah, all right, so this does it for my review of Rocky Balboa. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and stay tuned because next up we got like one more film, of course, that's Creed. Before I finally do end these reviews with my thoughts on Creed 2, which I haven't seen yet, but I do plan to see sometime this weekend. All right, so yeah, stay tuned for my 2 videos on the Creed films coming up next. All right, but I hope you guys enjoyed this review. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.